Gina from Haunted Flower, and this week I'm doing something a little special. I am doing a DVD review for the widescreen limited edition of the Star Wars trilogy, the original, not the newer ones. Why am I reviewing these movies? Well, part of it could be because episodes 1, 2, and 3 weren't as much fun for me. What is great about these particular movies? Well, these are the limited editions, and what is particularly awesome about them for me is that they actually contain the original theatrical editions on them. So you can watch the regular versions without the added special effects crap that takes me totally out of the moment when I know it's not supposed to be there. I mean, come on, you can't redo old movies. It's just not fair. Of course you worked with the technology you had at the time. That's because that's all you can do. We shouldn't all be able to go back and fix old movies, but that's what we love about them. We love seeing things that are a little silly sometimes, and there's just something nostalgic about it. So when you mess with my childhood nostalgia, you're messing with me. And then I want to punch you. The unfortunate thing about these theatrical versions, though, is that they're done in mono, not stereo sound, which is kind of rude, but I guess George Lucas just wants you to watch his new updated versions. Another nice thing about these is the cover art. The cover art is really pretty on these. As you can also see from the poster that I took after these came out. They have audio commentary with George Lucas, the directors, the sound guy, and Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher is the only actress on the commentary, the only actor in general on the commentary, which is disappointing because you really do want to hear Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill's perspective on things, but obviously Harrison Ford's probably too busy and Mark Hamill's, I don't know, in a cave somewhere doing voice acting. I guess he was like the lead voice actor that they pushed forth on Dante's Inferno, an animated epic, but I couldn't tell you which one he was. He was some artist guy off in the corner. So that's sad. I couldn't even recognize his voice in that. Some of the things that you get out of the commentary are a lot of George Lucas talking about A New Hope, his first movie. He directed that one, and he had a lot of problems with sand and mud and droids not working. They go about 5 feet and then boom. After that, the movie became a success, and so he didn't have to direct anymore, I guess. I didn't realize that until I listened to the commentary, that he's just the executive producer on the episodes 5 and 6. He had somebody else direct them, and he sat back somewhere else and just like sent in messages. George Lucas is still the mind and the writer behind everything. He develops the characters in the direction that he wanted them to go in. But I think the director did an excellent job working with The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because he had to operate without George Lucas on set. It was the story of how one of my favorite quotes came to be in The Empire Strikes Back when Leia says, "I love you," and Han Solo says, "I know." Apparently, originally that line had been, "I love you too," but they thought, that sounds kind of weird, gives Leia a little bit too much power in the situation, so they went back and forth, everybody trying their own lines at it, and everybody was hungry, and they wanted lunch and beer, and so they said, okay, let's just go out there and just make something up, we'll just go with it. And so Han Solo, Harrison Ford says, "I know." And they're like, okay, cut, good, let's go to lunch. And the other guys on the set are like, well, wait a minute. You have to keep going until you get the cut. And he's like, no, that was perfect. We're going with it. And oddly enough, that's one of my favorite parts. Carrie Fisher has some cute anecdotes, but really, she isn't used very much in the commentary. They're all obviously in different rooms. They're not talking together about anything. Because she was only 19 when they started filming this series, and she matured over time, as well as Mark Hamill. And Harrison Ford was the older one of the group because he was already like 30 or in his 30s. You get to hear where certain sounds come from. I mean, we all know that Darth Vader's breathing came from a scuba tank because it's pretty obvious when somebody tells you. The carbonate that Han Solo is encased in hits the ground, oh, it's a dump truck. There are lots of different ways to make other types of sounds and to get the echoes and the effects that they wanted, and it's kind of fun to listen to it. So I highly recommend these movies if you are a collector and a fan and wants to hear about all these things, but honestly, besides having the original theatrical format and the commentary, there's nothing else on here. A demo and trailer of the Lego game. It's also a DVD-ROM web link to exclusive content. Couldn't they shell out the money to actually put it on here? That's what I would like to see. When I was younger, I actually saved up money and sent away off of a cereal box to get the making of Star Wars on VHS. And that tape had a lot more about the making of Star Wars behind the scenes for me, from the actor's perspective and bloopers and different things, than anything on here. Star Wars is still awesome. What's amazing about Star Wars is that you have this created world. They jumped right into the world, didn't have to stop and introduce anything to you because everyone in the story knows what's going on. You just have to, hurry up and get there. It's a classic. It's near and dear to my heart. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 can suck it. And that's what I got to say about that.
Check out our other movie reviews at hauntedflower.com, your place for fantastic apparel, action figures, and collectibles. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, fan our Facebook page, or add us as a friend on MySpace or Rotten Tomatoes. If you're local to the Indianapolis area, visit indiemojo.com for details on how you can win free screening passes.